The wildest story right now is what apparently is going to happen next week when the votes are officially out. And that's for the NFL Hall of Fame, because it got leaked last night that Bill Belichick is not going to be elected as a Hall of Famer on the first ballot. Now, for those that are wondering how this works, there are 50 voters in this process, and they're from all over the country.
Yeah.
You need 40 votes to be elected into the Hall of Fame. And yes, now there's a list of guys, and there's so many votes that you can have in the list. Mike Sando actually had a good reference to explain it out there. But here's the deal. Still think about that. All right, if you didn't like Bill Belichick, but 11 people, greater than 10 people, voted for Belichick to not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And here's the thing. We know the elephant in the room. There's one reason why he wasn't elected. It's because of everything that happened with Spygate.
And Deflategate.
And Deflategate. But, you know, as much as I was, when I was younger and you're sitting there, oh, Deflategate, because you just hate the Pats and the Patriots, I really don't care as much about any of that. And Spygate, I get it. And you know what? They got docked. And in some ways, I'm not surprised that the committee ended up going with this, but the outrage is everyone's saying, screw that, regardless, he shouldn't have been elected. Right? Like, or sorry, screw that, he should have been elected. And people are saying it's a mockery of the game. And some players are sounding off on this, Zach, and coaches. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with
you want to go maybe?
Do we want to start with Tom Brady?
I think Brady's definitely the start, but then I think we go JJ.
So it's going to be from down little by little. So Tom Brady was on that team, on those teams, those Super Bowl runs. Big part of that team.
Yeah, Tom Brady has a connection to Bill Belichick.
He's got a connection there, and a lot of people have made their thoughts. But okay, we'll start with Tom, and I know some people might have some bias towards it, but let's start with Tom Brady and his thoughts on everything that went down with Bill.
How did you react yesterday or this morning when you heard that Bill was not selected to be in the Hall of Fame in his first shot?
You know, I just think that, to me, I don't understand it. I mean, I was with them every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. And he's incredible. There's no coach I'd ever want to play for. I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season, I'm taking Bill Belichick. So that's enough said. There's nothing outside of that. You know, again, when it comes down to votes and, you know, popularity and all that, like, you know, then welcome to the world of voting. And you may as well go, you know, try out for the Oscars or whatever and, you know, get a big panel to tell you if you're good or not. So it's the way it works. And unfortunately, you know, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. In the end, I'm not worried about that. You know, and a lot of times in life, you know, for all of us, you know, things don't happen exactly how you want them or on your timeline, but we'll all be there to celebrate him when it does happen. And he's going to have a huge turnout from so many players, coaches that appreciated everything that he did and the commitment that he made to winning and the impact that he had on all our lives. And that'll be a great celebration when it happens.
So that was on Brock and Salk out there in Seattle. But look, he's right. Tom's right. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Disappointed in that sense. And if Bill's not going to be the first ballot Hall of Famer, what coach is? And again, this goes back to the reasons, in my opinion. It's because of those sanctions and those moments that have brought this. But the issue isn't necessarily that. It's also then, is there bias on how you feel about Bill as an individual? And that's where some of these other reactions are going to go. So now let's go to J.J. Watt. We're going to keep turning the intensity up. Let's go to J.J. Watt next, and here's his opinion on the Pat McAfee show today.
Are we doing?
Okay, so reality of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, there, like you just said, there are literally like 2-3 people in history that are absolute no-brainer locks whatsoever, Bill and Tom being two of those. And I saw something where one of the voters was like, why should the votes be released? What are you going to do? Because you shouldn't have a vote. If you have Bill Belichick not making the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you should not have a vote for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The guy has 8 Super Bowl titles. There's only been 59 of them. He's got 8 rings from 59. Like, what are you doing? What qualifications do you want? How do you tell the story of the NFL without Bill Belichick? Yeah, if you didn't have him on your ballot, and I get this whole like, well, there was 3 spots and you can only put like, I don't care. If there's only 3 spots, Bill Belichick is spot number 1, point blank, period. You figure out who fits in the other 2. No other matter should happen. He is in the Hall of Fame, first ballot, no matter what. The guy beat me left, right, and center multiple times. I should have every reason to hate him. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer without question. This is stupid.
So there's J.J. Watt being very vocal about this and saying, I went against him. And we mentioned earlier on the show about your peers tell you the best story about how they view you. Well, the peers and competitors are saying, dude, Bill is one of the best. And actually, our guest that we interviewed, channel members, you will see that here soon, he played for Bill, and he talked about why Bill was so good when he was there. Now, the last thing then, because we're turning it up a notch, because you're saying, all right, he cheated. That's why the committee sent a message. Well, apparently, according to Jimmy Johnson, who's a Hall of Fame coach, he was saying back in the day, a lot of coaches tried to look at advantages. And also, if that's the reason why you keep a guy out that has had that much success, well, he didn't mince any words here. So let's play that video, Zach.
So with what you said last night on your Twitter account, where you said if they're going to be using Spygate as an excuse for this entire thing, they're going to have to dig into basically everybody's stuff who is potentially trying this. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how common this type of thing is? And why did it make you so upset that they left Bill Belichick off the first ballot Hall of Fame?
Well, first of all, I think this tarnishes everything in the Hall of Fame. All of the inductees, everybody in the Hall of Fame, just because of 10 or 11 or 12 ignorant, jealous assholes who did not vote for him. I think it tarnishes everything about the Hall of Fame.
Short and sweet.
Did you get the message, Zach? Did you understand where Jimmy's
I
coming
don't think
from?
Jimmy was happy about that.
He wasn't. And look, for me, I'm still not surprised of what happened. My biggest thing with all of this, Zach, and it still goes to the baseball side with the Hall of Fame, is what is the precedent for how you're going to vote on players, coaches to be elected? If it's about integrity all the way in the utmost, okay, that's fine. Is it just about the numbers that you have done and the greatness that you achieved? Okay, that's fine. But clearly that narrative has changed depending on who the player or the coach is. And I think that is the part, Zach, where I look at, and I don't have the right answer at the moment, but if you're trying to objectify, what is the objective qualities of being in the Hall of Fame and to how you are? Because in baseball, I brought up the story on my Instagram last night. My dad went into the Hall of Fame. We just talked to Keith Law. Yeah, Cal was a good player. He was a great player. Zach, he played in the steroid era.
Mm-hmm.
He got over 97% of the vote. Voters did not vote for Cal Ripken Jr., my father, because he played in the steroid era as a protest. So when we're talking about objectifying and being biased, that's where shit bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Because then who went in as 100% unanimous then years later? Mariano Rivera. Guess what era Mariano came up in? The steroid era.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. played in that era. He's not 100%. So my point is everyone has a vote. That's not the issue. I respect it. But to what point does it get away from being objective? Because that's where I think the outrage is, Zach, is the greatness is there for Bill. Yeah, you hear the noise, but the standard of how the NFL and how the MLB has been, it hasn't necessarily been cut and dry clear.
Make the votes public. Simple solution. And I don't know why this is. They finally started doing it with the MVP, and actually voters got upset because they didn't know it was going to be released. You vote for the National Football Hall of Fame. You vote for Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, Major League Baseball, they allow you to put your votes out there. Every single person should be able to see who got voted in. Why this isn't transparent. If you don't think Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Famer, stand on it. But okay, you feel that way. Put your vote down knowing that everyone's going to know who voted. Like, why are we protecting people? Like, I don't get the whole this is supposed to be the best players and coaches that the league's ever seen. So now it's just an anonymous, someone, 13 people didn't vote for Bill Belichick. Wonder who it is. Put a sheet out. These are the people who voted. Here's what they voted for. Just like Major League Baseball does with a lot of people. But here's the list. Here's your ballot. Your ballot on the day that the National Football Hall of Fame, not even ceremony, just the day that they announce what people made it, it's released. Your ballot is released. Because why are we – it's just too much power. You could do anything. They could, get together and be like, hey, this guy's not in. Hey, we have 13 people that are in this group. We didn't like so-and-so. We're going to make sure he's not in. That good for you. That is as a voter, that's your right. It's got to be public. I just think that takes so many things out of it. I would like to know, same thing, Ichiro Suzuki. Obviously, that's baseball. He's straight up in his thing. He's like, I would love to know the one voter who didn't vote for me. I would just like to go to lunch with him. I'll buy you dinner. I would like to know why you didn't think I was a Hall of Famer. If you're going to vote, let people know. Let's do it. If you are voting, why do people not know? Why do we not know who is voting for these? Well,
things? This is why everyone's getting caught up with the Bill Polian thing, which may or may not be true. So if you saw the reports, they're saying that Bill Polian, longtime executive, was one of the ones, Hall of Famer, right? So yeah. He apparently was the one that was quote unquote leading the case for Bill not to. Then Bill gave a statement saying that is absolutely false. But then he said he voted for Bill. Then he said he's 95% sure, but he's not sure if it's 100%. But point being is, to your point of this, now everyone's putting the scapegoat to Bill Polian, which I don't even know what the right answer is. And to be honest, I don't really care what the answer is. I think the part is, if you have the right and the opportunity to vote, then maybe part of the opportunity is to be transparent about why you didn't vote for somebody. I think that's at least fair. And I think it's a respect thing to go, all right, we didn't vote for him. Here's my reasons. Because again, I'm not maybe as upset by the rest of the population, Zach, of, oh my goodness, Bill Belichick didn't get in. Because if that's the reason why it was voted, that was a sensitive subject. It was at the time. Do I think Bill Belichick is still one of, if not, if you're going to put Lombardi and Belichick, whatever you're going to put in that category, he's one of the greatest that's ever coached. It's not, you can't deny the excellence that he had. But you got to find what the standard is. Does that mean Tom Brady in this case, because of Deflategate, is going to be barred from the Hall of Fame year one? Because that's the precedent. Terrell Owens was a top receiver statistically, but he didn't get in until the third try, and that was more of saying character, or it goes back to objective. Is it on the field greatness and how you look at it, or are you carrying other things that are more personal? And that's the part that I don't like with the voting.
I mean, Pat McAfee joked about it in a later clip with JJ Watt, and he was like, hey, JJ, just so you know, you're tweeting a little bit too much. I don't think you're making it in the Pro Football Hall of Fame if you keep tweeting about these voters. They'll conspire against you. That's why it's got to be public. We have to have some sort of public thing. Also, he already didn't make first ballot. Just literally announced next year, hey, he's in the Hall of Fame. We're waiting until 28 so he and Tom can go in together. Now that he's not first ballot, they should go in together. This is ridiculous that there are a lot of things that I can say makes sense. I saw that coming. This doesn't.
Here's the part, because I'll bring up with my dad, because again, this is not me trying to be biased whether or not about my dad or have the love for him. And look, I told you, he can be a jackass to me. But I want to be objective. My dad was one of the few players that had over 400 home runs and 3,000 hits in his career. He had a streak that's not going to be broken. If you talk to him and his peers, he was one of the best players when he played, 2-time MVP, all of that. And that's fine. If you don't, here's the thing, Zach, if you don't want to vote for him because you didn't think he was, I'm okay with that. But you know what that part was? It wasn't even the fact that they didn't vote for him. Some voters didn't cast a ballot in protest. That's the shit that I'm talking about, is that the Hall of Fame, for all of these groups, to bring back the full integrity of what you want, you need to fully objectify what it means. Because right now, and I'll say this honestly, there are certain guys that are in the Hall of Fame in baseball that have steroid allegations attached to their name, and there are others that don't. And you know who they are. Football, I don't know what justifies what should be a first ballot Hall of Famer or not. Their system is just different, Zach. It is. It's not. It's. I'm all about protecting the integrity, but at the end of the day, the biggest thing is figuring out what are the right criterias to make sure we don't get to these situations again, and make sure if you're going to vote, and even if you hate the guy, does he check the boxes? Because it tells the story of the game. And that's the part which all Hall of Fames or all places that want to keep the integrity have to ask themselves. So I'm not surprised with the move. Mm-hmm. But what I would love to see is just consistency with how you're going to vote on players moving forward. And